Hey guys, good afternoon. How are you? Awesome. So we're going to start 1 minute early so that we can do the introductions, and then we can focus on the topic and have more time for you guys to ask questions and have a conversation with us on sharing. So my name is Alfredo Mogoyan. I am responsible for the collaboration experience within Microsoft. I am part of Core Services Engineering, formerly Microsoft IT. And my partner?
I'm David Johnson, and I'm in the same organization, and my role is responsible for our strategy, architecture, and solutions for Office 365 internally.
Okay, so let's get started. And I want to make sure that the world has changed. So usually we used to work in our bubble where pretty much working was within your team, within your company, and that was it. But now things have changed, and now we're expected to work in teams with people outside of our organizations, and that changes the whole world. That's a whole new game. So at the same time that we have to enable our users to work freely, we have to make sure that our content remains secure. So how do we make sure that our content is not leaked or goes to a place where we don't want? How many of you guys, raise your hand, have users that have to work with external members to your organization? How many of those you feel are doing it the right way or in a secure way? No. Okay, that's a big problem, right? So this is the challenge of the IT pros now. How do we keep the balance between enabling users and at the same time keeping corporate assets secure?
And so, yeah, we have a lot of rules, obviously, as IT. We try to span all these things. We've got to be legally compliant. We've got to make sure that content we're discussing is obviously under retention. If it needs to be under retention, I can do an e-discovery if I have to. We clearly, as Alfredo said, have to protect all this stuff. At the same time, we've got to manage all of these different sharing. We've got to manage all these different sites that are experiences that are being created. How do we do all that? While, of course, fundamentally, if we're not empowering those users and our employees to do what they need, if someone in Windows, for example, is working with a chip manufacturer, or someone in Xbox is working with a supplier for components, they have to be able to make that project work. And they've got to do it in a secure way. Clearly, we want to make sure that pipeline and conversation with our partners is well protected and managed. So these are just the things we think about as we do this. So just a little bit about what we've got. We're big, and I'm not going to drain this, but point being, for those who've seen this elsewhere, we've got a lot of groups, a lot of SharePoint sites, a lot of Yammer, and a lot of teams. So fundamentally, we're big. And our reason we're big, though, is we enable our employees to get what they need when they need it from us at any time. Okay, try this again. Okay, thanks for letting me know. So, thank you. So, anyhow, point being that we want... Yeah, okay. The point being we want to enable our employees to create a new site when they need to. And I think that's a fundamental thing for us, that if we don't give them the site or a place or a OneDrive experience to collaborate on the OneDrive or SharePoint, or that basically what that's going to mean is they're going to go do something we don't want them to do. They're going to do something with emailing around an attachment or use some consumer service to share, things we do not want. We good? You want to go? Okay,
so let me come this side to try to compensate a little bit on the sound while they get this one fixed. So when we talk about cross-collaboration, I think there's 3 questions. So which methods can we use to share? Why not sharing through attachments like old school, right? You can always attach a file to an email and share, and that's it. And what is the most secure approach? So let's go one by one. Well, actually, went 2 in a row. But basically, we have different ways of sharing externally when you have different flavors. You can do it from SharePoint. You can do it from OneDrive. You can do it from Outlook groups. You can do it from Teams. And all that are valid options. Now, why not attachments? The primary reason for that is because keep in mind that a core collaboration value is the ability to do co-authoring. It's more than 2 or more people contributing with content in a single file. So if you do an attachment, you cannot co-author. First of all, you have to do old school back and forth email, which is slow. The other thing is you lose control on the reach of that content. After that email is sent, unless you put IRM and all those things, You don't know who's going to get access to it. You don't know how often they get access to it, and so on. So that's why we don't recommend doing attachments anymore. That's something that we have left in the past. The last, okay. Sorry. What I was going to say is, if you want to share, there's two flavors. If it's an ongoing sharing, so you're going to be working with someone on a continuous basis, add that person as an external member of your groups or teams. If this is a one-off, then you can always share via links, not attachments. Create a link either from your team library or your OneDrive for Business and share that way. That would be the recommended approach for sharing content externally.
Yeah, and I think this kind of piles on with that, is fundamentally when we try to educate our employees that, look, if you're trying to do that Windows project with a chip manufacturer, or you're trying to work with Xbox and some supplier, clearly that person, that partner is part of a project. They should be integrated with the Teams. They should be integrated with a SharePoint overall. That's an experience you want to see happen, but you also want to manage that. You want to manage the membership for it. You want to control it. Therefore, the nice thing about it is when we're doing this, we're actually adding those guests into the group itself, meaning that Windows group with whoever, our chip supplier, is actually partnering those people are in that 365 group, which is foundational to the SharePoint site, which therefore means that I'm now actually everything that group that person has access to. Or I can still do one-off file sharing, clearly with OneDrive SharePoint, but I can manage and just share a link. And we enable that external collaboration from a sharing perspective. We'll talk about how we protect that in just a few minutes too. So I mentioned earlier, self-service for us is a fundamental thing for us, that while we're protecting, we're enabling our employees to get the things. Because if we don't give them a spot, if we don't open up external sharing on their OneDrives, if we don't open up managed external sharing and membership on their SharePoint, not everything that has it, but where it makes sense, they're going to go out and do something they shouldn't do, because there's perfectly legitimate scenarios where it makes sense to do so internally. And foundationally, all of these things, no matter how you're provisioning the experience, whether it's with Outlook connected groups or Yammer or Teams, it's all against the same group, which is a core construct for us on this. And then we get into, and I'm not going to talk about this slide because our office friends had a good session on this. Actually, the link is on the bottom here. But the 365 group construct is a foundational construct to a lot of this, how we manage membership, and how that membership can span all the different ways I'm collaborating, which is the advantage here. So whether I'm working in Planner or working in SharePoint or working in Teams, I'm using exactly the same membership construct, so that external person is part of the project. They're literally there.
Okay, so this is two components from sharing. One is build on education. Raise awareness among your users on how to properly share content. And if you see in this slide, it goes from the single file that is a one-off kind of thing. How do you build towards sharing broadly beyond your team, beyond your organization, company-wide, and then company-wide and beyond? So how do you share content with your partners? How do you share content even with in a public environment kind of thing? So remember, build on education and rely on governance.
Yeah, and so we have a lot of governance at Microsoft, and I think there's been a bunch of sessions where governance is talked about as kind of a part of parcel of getting to cloud, and you're thinking about how you want to manage. And keep in mind, I mentioned earlier how big we are, and there's no way as IT we could drill in on every little thing without a lot of governance kind of managing overall infrastructure, because we just have a lot. I won't go into all the different types of governance that we have. Foundationally, I'll focus on the security governance and the container governance, as we call it, basically the site level governance. And again, I have a whole nother session on group governance more broadly where I drill in on this one. But suffice it to say that we do lifecycle management on groups, but we also, I think more importantly for this conversation, we're collecting a classification. So I'm identifying valuable content, which means that part of it is twofold. One, when I'm creating a new Teams, a new SharePoint, I'm collecting the classification of a thing. Internally at Microsoft, we've got a classification scheme. You may have seen this elsewhere. But point being that whenever you're using Azure Information Protection or to create a label against a file, for example, or whether you're using and creating a new SharePoint site in a container label against the site itself, you're using that same classification scheme. The nice thing about this is it means that the employee using that new SharePoint site knows, A, this is a highly confidential site, I know how to manage it, I know how to protect it, people on it know that hey, this is highly confidential, they know what to treat, how to treat the information, and B, we as IT then know what we can do with it. For example, in our case, we'll do certain things, like we will turn off external sharing and external membership on a site that's classified as highly confidential. So I mentioned earlier, we enable external sharing by default on SharePoint, and Teams and Planner, but at the same time, we turn it off where it doesn't make sense. Because I want that employee, their default choice should be put the file where it makes sense. Either share it from your OneDrive if it's a one-off, or put it on that team library, that SharePoint site, where I'm therefore working and sharing broadly. Great, that we want that to happen, therefore, unless it's highly confidential, I'm good to go. Even confidential, which is kind of that business I was mentioning earlier, that some organization in Microsoft is sharing with some other organization. That might be confidential stuff, but it's working with external sharing and external membership on a SharePoint site.
Actually, I would like to add, this is the classification that we use internally in Microsoft, but you can use a different one. You may have a different naming convention and apply the one that you use in your company. That's something that you can configure in product.
Yep, in fact, because these are two different places, you have the labeling that you can do directly in Security and Compliance Center and coming soon, and via Azure Information Protection. You can do the labeling with the Azure AD to say, here's the actual classification. In fact, we've been doing labeling on the groups themselves for about a year now. So every group, in fact, almost 2. So every group that was created within Microsoft has been classified. That way we know how to deal with it. So the other part about this is protecting the content. So I mentioned earlier, we will go ahead and manage the site itself and turn things on and off on the site. So, but that assumes, of course, that the employee did the right thing, that classified the site the right way. And clearly, we want to make sure that, if it's a top secret project, let the employee classify it properly. If a project is not top secret, great. Let the employee tell us, then work with who they need to work with, add the guests you need to deal with. But part of this is also then the detecting and oversharing. Like, part of this is, we want to use DLP rules to then catch the fact that, yes, you classified this as general, but you're trying to share a confidential file, or highly confidential file, I should say, maybe with some sensitive patterns. Like, for example, our product partners will say, here's some secret code names. If you find these code names, flag them in DLP. If you find these security numbers, credit card numbers, other things, then flag them via DLP. So again, using the information protection policies in product to flag where it makes sense to make sure we're protecting and preventing the sharing where it shouldn't be happening at the file level. So one, do it at the container level, so the SharePoint site itself is both protected where it makes sense, and B, even at the file level, if a file itself is maybe different, make sure that we're catching where the potential file needs to be protected. Plus, of course, Azure Information Protection labels and putting labels on the file itself. If I'm working in the SLT and I've got a pre-mergers information, I'm probably protecting the file with Azure Information Protection. I'm going ahead and adding that highly confidential label. Maybe I'm securing it so only the leadership team in the company can see it via Azure Information Protection to put a label so that even if it does leave a company accidentally by some way, however, people can't open it up because it's rights protected. And that's kind of the other kind of component to this. And plus, of course, I mentioned the group protection that we apply to all this as well.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to add is that we usually ensure that there's consistency in our groups. So we have a default for our groups of being confidential and private. So we track to make sure that there's not inconsistencies like having highly confidential and public. That is something that we don't allow. So we track in our tenancy to see if there's any misaligned classification across privacy and sensitivity, so that we can fix it and keep the consistency across the tenancy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, and we can do some Q&A here. And whoops, there we go. We can do some Q&A here in a second. But I think one of our main takeaways is employees will take the easiest path, and you want, as IT, that easiest path to be your path. And so I don't want my employees using some consumer service to share externally. I know full well, and I've got partners in various organizations, Windows and Xbox and other orgs. I know full well what they'll do, and I know how to help them. We have these conversations all the time about how do you work the right way. And so I want to make it the easy way that if you're just sharing a one-off file, great. Go into your OneDrive, share a file, make it do the specific people, and as long as that file doesn't have any detected patterns that violate the rule, that external sharing is going to be allowed, it'll go out the door. If you have it on a project, go put it on that SharePoint site. Again, we want to make that really easy for our employees to go do that external sharing going on. But secondly, educate them, because part of this is also a change of eliminating attachments that we really want to say, as Alfredo said earlier, minimize attachments to eliminate attachments. There's value in attachments and obsolete, but as much as possible, if a content stays of a tenancy, if it's managed in place, all of the additional collaboration lights up a lot better for that partnership to happen across the organization.
Yeah, I could say, if you take one thing away from this presentation, is build on education and awareness, but rely on security and compliance enforcement. Those are the ways to go to make sure that you can share across your needs, across the companies, but at the same time, keep your content secure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other key thing, the key takeaway is for us, and I'd recommend to you, think about your labeling strategy. Think about it, what you want to see happen. Do you have like a top secret kind of classification scheme? What is your classification scheme? How do you want to label your stuff? Because at the end of the day, there's probably content within your company that is fair game for external partnership and fair game for external collaboration, and you want to enable that. So think that through, is what makes sense to go externally versus not. Because at the same, if you're going to understand that your employees are going to potentially do the wrong thing, make it easy for them to do the right thing and tell you what it is that they're working with, or at least trap it if it's potentially different than they expect. Did you want to talk to the last two?
No, I think it would be, well, obviously we have talked about no attachments, share via links, or external membership in your groups or teams. I think that's kind of the key secret there, depending on if it's a one-off or it's a continuous collaboration effort. I think we would probably save some time so that we can do a little bit of Q&A.
Do people have questions about this? Because obviously there's so much more to it. This is a depth, almost like a depends in depth. We do lots of different things here, right? So we can, everything from the file level to trapping with DLP to the container level, policy management we run on every team and every SharePoint. So there's a lot here. And obviously I know we covered a lot in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but please, if you have any questions, let us know. You want to?
Do you let anybody create sites? Any of your employees, they can all just create a site at any time?
It's a good question. So the question was, do we allow employees to create sites or in teams? And so there is a rule there. One of the things we have is we've got a dynamic security group which says who is allowed to create sites in groups within Microsoft. Now, in our case, it's all full-time employees. If you're not a full-time employee, we don't necessarily say you have accountability, and therefore we're not going to let you create a group. So, but all full-time employees are allowed to create a site, to answer that question.
So, in a nutshell, we allow all our users to create as many sites as they need. And the way we control the growth of the number of groups is through lifecycle management. So it's a free open door at the entrance, but then at the exit, we will make sure that we start filtering those assets are needed or not anymore.
Do you allow anybody but the employees to be administrators for those sites?
So that's a good question. So yes, we do, because at some point that full-time employee who created it may say, you know what, I need to delegate this work to my trusted supplier. They're partnering with somebody who can therefore go do that work for them. They're not necessarily going to have time. But at the end of the day, who are we going to hold accountable? We're going to hold that full-time employee accountable. In fact, if something goes wrong, our security and legal teams are going to do an investigation, find out who did it, and then go back to the employee that was accountable for it.
So in addition to the lifecycle management, we have other rules or policies that we enforce, like having a minimum number of owners in the case of a group, and then one of those owners has to be an FTE. Yes.
Yeah, and all that's in governance. In fact, that's all part of that governance. But again, I mean, the whole point of that is to say, I can trust the fact that the groups that I have are being managed, they're live, they're real, someone is dealing with it. The other thing we do with groups when we come to external sharing, and one of the things we're working with now is the Azure AD also introduced this notion of membership reviews to say, I want to set up a membership review every, say, 6 months for this group. So what I can then do is say the owner of a group is therefore accountable to actually almost renewing, well, not just renewing, but reattesting the membership to say this person should still have access to this thing. And again, that's making sure that we're cleaning up the group, because the last thing you want to see happen is, some product organization is partnering with a supplier, we change suppliers, that supplier is now manufacturing for somebody else. Guess what? You now have a problem. You want them to rethink about, are you sharing with the right people? And so the nice thing about this is that you keep the content in place, but you want to then revoke access at the right time. If there's a need to remove a link, for example, in SharePoint or OneDrive, or if there's a need to change membership, all this stuff will then kick in and do that. Any other questions?
How do you enforce the lifecycle management, basically? So do you use any workflow for this, or how do you make periodic review of all these things?
So there's a combination of things. There's out-of-the-box capabilities for lifecycle management, where you can provision every 6 months or every time frame that you want. And at that point, the user will start getting notifications both in email and in app letting you know that your group is about to expire and you need to take action. That action is renewing it. If you don't renew, then it gets locked, and after a little while of being locked, it gets permanently deleted. So all that is automated.
Yeah, and this capability in the Azure AD, I think it's a P1 subscription license for the Azure AD specifically, but that is a group lifecycle management tab.
Is that available in the GUI or just through PowerShell now?
The lifecycle management is available through the UI. Yeah.
And PowerShell, both. And so the nice thing about that is also then the owner will get an email to say renew. If they miss it, the owner will get an email saying the group has been deleted. Well, first of all, they get lots of warnings. And then after it's deleted, they'll get a restore button to then bring the thing back to life again at the group. But again, there's a lot more details on governance in a governance session I did a couple days ago too. And that recording should be available to check that out.
Hey. Microsoft offers plenty of collaboration channels like OneDrive, Outlook Group, Yammer Group, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint. Now, your second takeaway point was educate people what to use, when, how. It's the biggest challenge for me. So is there any tools available, toolkit available for me to guide our employees what to choose, when, how to use it externally?
Well, and I'd start with one key point there, that at the end of the day, all those things, whether you're sharing in Outlook connected group or a Teams or in SharePoint, you're all sharing that file effectively from a SharePoint. And that's kind of the advantage of it. And the employee doesn't need to know that. If they're working in OneDrive and simply want to work for team files, they can see the team files directly in OneDrive. If they're working in their Teams, they can share those files from Teams. And if they don't know if it's in SharePoint, it's working from Teams. Outlook connected groups, you're sharing a file, you're sharing a link from the Outlook connected group. Again, you're doing it from a SharePoint site, sending the link. But the employee doesn't necessarily have to think through that. I think that's part of it, is that this notion of saying, I have to tell my employees what to use when. Yes, there's kind of conditions, yes, it's true, and we think about the same thing. But I think part of it is it's getting easier, because the notion is that these things are getting more common underneath. The experiences are getting close together, which is why that employee can start from their OneDrive and see everything they need to do from file sharing perspective too.
So what I'd like to add, because that's a challenge for us as well, and we have done research internally to try to figure out what is the piece that is creating the confusion. And what we have learned is that it's not always that people don't know what to use when, is they don't like to use multiple things because they feel like, oh, I have to go and check from place to place to place, from Yammer to Outlook to Teams to see if I'm missing something. So when you start thinking about like, okay, from the inner loop and the outer loop, so for my teamwork, it's Teams, and for community and open conversations with executives, that's Yammer. I think that's where people start to get, oh, okay, now I don't feel stressed that I have to check everything every 10 minutes. And people start to relax and say, okay, now I get it. For my teamwork, I use Teams. For Yammer stuff or community stuff, I use Yammer, which, by the way, doesn't need to reply every 10 seconds. And email is more for directed communication. Some people think it's more formal. Fine, I think no one has confusion about email. So my suggestion would be to try to figure out if within your company, if the issue is that people don't understand what to use when, or if the issue is people feeling stressed of now I have to check 3 or 5 or 4 places just to make sure I'm not missing out.
Any kind of final questions? Because I know we're just about out of time.
Yeah, I understand there's a conflict between iTunes and external sharing. If you have iTunes. So if you basically need to register a mobile device, right? External sharing won't work. Now I saw that you were able to turn it on and off based on the confidentiality. Are you guys, first, is it true? And are you working on something to deal with that?
So let me just make sure I understood your question. So you're asking if we do everything on the mobile side of things? Yes.
Conditional
yes,
access.
Yes.
So, yeah. So
yes.
let's start.
Hold on.
Yeah.
The question is if we have to set up the devices to be able to access the content externally. The answer is yes. So we have to enroll external devices into Intune so that you can access from Starbucks or wherever you are. We right now don't allow on Razer devices to access our tenancy. But that's something that we're enforcing.
No, and there's a couple parts of that. As an employee, you're on our tenancy, we control your identity, we control your multi-factor authentication, we can control your conditional access checks, all that stuff, great. If you're a partner, let's say that partner scenario I mentioned earlier, that partner, we now can set up conditional access against that partner to say that partner's conditional access checks are going to get kicked in. Once that's through, our AD is going to say, okay, great. Now that they've passed all the checks and good. And these are things we're actually building on now. We're actually kind of building that out to say today we have conditional access checks if you're an employee, and that's why we go all the way up to highly confidential for employees. If you're a supplier or an external partner, I should say, or whatever, however we're sharing externally, one of the reasons we go up to confidential, but not necessarily highly confidential, is because we don't yet have a conditional access for externals in place. So one of the things that we're going to do is say that employee from X company that wants to access our stuff would also have to pass conditional access checks too.
So we're run out of time, guys, and the next speaker is waiting. Yep. So we can take more questions on this side if you want. Thank you for attending.